Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast synopses in and around this series, this audio podcast series, the LabZtorm Impact v.3. This is a synopsis surrounding some research that had taken place sort of between 2017 or 18 to 2022, to 2021-22. This is an audio podcast aligned to a storm robotics blockade, and this is another storm robotics production. So to begin with, this audio podcast synopses is in around research works surrounding nephrology, and sort of asking where in around nephrology, wherein the main basis had been what if any are the health educational needs for patients with chronic kidney disease, and in around this research was on a basis surrounding a sort of a qualitative inquiry, and so in this synopsis I'm going to provide a sort of an overview in context of an abstract, as a basis of the synopses. An estimated it's been documented that 15 million patients in England, in the United Kingdom, have at least one long-term condition with the prevalence of, for example, chronic kidney disease or CKD increasing or rising. And understanding educational support can help navigate between can help patients navigate between healthcare sectors. So the research question, or the research question in around this works, was to understand educational support surrounding chronic kidney disease or CKD. In around the sort of ethics, the ethics aspects in around this research. The research was approved by Greater Manchester South Research Ethics Committee, and there was and aligned to this, there was a project identification. There was a project identification number or details, and so aligned to this as well, the methodology, and around sort of the methodology. This research primarily used sort of a qualitative methodology approach and an inductive content analysis or ICA approach, which has been documented as particularly effective in linking theory of or framework. And in around this works, there have been an aspect in around what's been sort of in literature, what's been in literature as what's been in literature as a patient and public involvement, or PPI. So in around PPI, two workshops took place sort of retrospectively in May 2019 and June 2019, wherein there had been sort of a link to co-develop sort of topic tagging between sort of topic tagging against different themes that have been sort of important between between topics that have been sort of arising between two social media platforms, and the topic tagging activities are co-developed between the social media platforms, the Renal Patient Support Group, the RPSG, and the Kidney Disease and Support Groups, or KDARs for Kids platforms. And in around the sort of sampling and recruitment in context of this research, 19 participants between 4 cohorts were involved in sort of interviews, and the 19 participants between the 4 cohorts included 6 general practitioners or GPs, 4 healthcare scientists aligned to allied health professionals, 3 nephrologists or clinicians aligned to sort of frontline health professionals, aligned to aligned to health professionals or frontline health professionals in context of secondary care, and six CKD patients, 6 CKD patients were recruited and participated in telephone interviews. In around sort of the data collection aspects, topic guides were developed. Topic guides have been developed for participant cohorts with several themes to collect data through one-to-one telephone interviews. And in around the analysis, software have been used or implemented or utilized even to help code and glean insight to develop overall conclusions in around the data that have been collected. In around the results after the analyses, after the analyses, the results had inferred 9 main themes, and several sub-themes had been identified when coding for healthcare professionals, and 9 main themes and several sub-themes had been identified when coding sort of qualitative context aligned to CKD patients. And in around conclusions, in around sort of the basis in around the conclusions, there needs to be the researchers had informed that there need to be a more coordinated effort between patients and health professionals to understand how CKD education should be more integrated at point of care and in line with public health. Now, in line to sort of this synopsis, listeners are more than welcome to check out sort of literature through search engines by using terminology such as nephrology, education, qualitative research, and patient and public involvement in search engines to identify literature and works similar to this works. and aligned to this audio podcast synopses, there will be some resources. There will be some resources online aligned to this synopsis in the descriptive. So listeners are more than welcome to sort of refer to those resources for example, to identify content in aligned to works that are similar, and also where listeners can look to sort of find out more about the sort of similar research in context of chronic kidney disease, but also in context of public health. So that ends this audio podcast synopsis. This has been an audio podcast synopsis in line to the LabZtorm Impact v.3 and audio podcast aligned to storm robotics, the storm robotics blockade, and aligned to an audio podcast aligned to sort of nephrology, looking at nephrology, and what if any are the health educational needs for patients with chronic kidney disease. And once again, this is another Storm Robotics production. Thank you for tuning in.